Hello, you're watching World Talks on TVP World. My name is Sasha Farbach. President Volodymyr Zelenskyy is in Berlin meeting U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and German Chancellor Friedrich Merz as negotiations began Sunday and will continue Monday over security guarantees and possible terms to end the war in Ukraine. Later this week, Zelenskyy will travel to Warsaw to meet Polish President Karol Nawrocki and senior officials. Now, to discuss the latest developments, we're joined by Kacper Wańczyk, expert at the Academic Center for Strategic Analysis. Good to have you on TVP World. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
I want to just also set the stage here. I mean, these talks began last night between the American side and President Zelenskyy and the German Chancellor. I just want to run what Steve Witkoff shared on social media after those first rounds, let's call them, concluded. Let's listen to that now.
The meeting in Berlin between President Zelenskyy, Special Envoy Witkoff, Jared Kushner, and delegations from the United States and Ukraine lasted over 5 hours. Representatives held in-depth discussions regarding the 20-point plan for peace, economic agendas, and more. A lot of progress was made, and they will meet again tomorrow morning.
All right, so, I mean, it's a bit dry, but from that, what do you discern? I mean, what do you expect to happen in the course of today, as also many European leaders will be also inbound into Berlin?
I think it's just one stage of a series of meetings and discussions. So there will be back and forth exchange of opinions on these different ideas. I think it's too early to state clearly what will come up of these meetings, because we're still in the process of discussing. This is a series of meetings that will happen in today and as I understand tomorrow. I think there will be different ideas. We know that there are differences obviously between the US and Ukraine, but there are also differences between approaches from the European countries and the US. So it's still, I believe, too early to say what will come out of this discussion. This is an early stage of exchange and negotiations.
Mm-hmm. And one thing that was already floating around yesterday in the evening was apparently a pledge by Zelenskyy of his willingness to apparently scrap any sort of wish to join NATO, to scrap that as a part of a negotiation component. So with that, I mean, is this something that will bring it across the line here? Is this a dangerous precedent, or how is this going to be viewed?
Well, it looks it's a thing that needs to be looked deeper into, because I don't believe that not only given the international situation, but also given the weakened position of Zelenskyy currently inside the country, it would be harmful for his position to bluntly state, well, we won't join the NATO. So I think probably they're floating around some idea of maybe some stages of accession or some stages of discussion on the accession. But obviously this is showing on Zelenskyy's part, this is presenting his willingness to discuss issues, because as we know, the Russian side sees or presents NATO membership as a make or break in these negotiations. So this way, the Ukrainian side tries to present themselves as a side that is open to discussion also on the security matters.
Mm-hmm. And also, I think the significance of Berlin in all this, I mean, the German Chancellor Friedrich Merz, he's very much been a much different political force than his predecessor, very much saying things stronger for security, really ramping up even more what has already slowly been happening in Germany. What is the significance of this meeting happening in Berlin? And also curious about all these 9 leaders across from Europe, including also Ursula von der Leyen coming into Berlin later today. I know we can speculate here, but what do you sense out of this? Is there something bigger afoot here?
I believe, but it's again more a belief and hope than analysis, because still, as you said, it's in early stages, and we still need to see. It's more about feeling than seeing stuff or understanding them. Is that Europe is really trying to make its stand. So it's earlier in your news bulletin we heard German Chancellor stating that we are in a new age. We are in an age where the US is no longer with such strong presence in the EU, in the Europe as it used to be. So. Consequently, we need, as a Europe, more take care of our own security than we used to in the past. So this shows a different approach, to maintaining security in European region. It could be interpreted in two ways. So one way this may play out. And that's the way because I consider myself a person that supports internal EU cooperation on security. So I would hope to see that as going towards strengthening the cooperation on hard and soft security within the European Union as a whole. But this could also move towards ideas like dividing security within the Europe between so-called, because this division still remains, even though Poland has been a part of the EU for many years. So between so-called old and new EU member states, and some kind of and return to some kind of discussions between so-called big European power and Russia. So again, we don't really know how history will play out, but we definitely see understanding in Europe that the security matters needs to be handled by ourselves rather than waiting for support or decisions from Washington.
Mm-hmm. Right. As you said, this is something that we've been following for a while. Let's see if these next sort of few days give us more indication where that's headed. At the same time, you mentioned Poland as well. Prime Minister Donald Tusk will also be in Berlin later tonight. I mean, Poland has obviously played a critical role here on the eastern flank of NATO, initially during the beginnings of the full-scale invasion of Ukraine, as well as supplying Ukraine with what it needed. Now, President Zelenskyy seems to be straight to Berlin, or he headed rather straight to Berlin. Usually those visits included a trip to Warsaw first, but he's coming back then to meet the President of Poland and other officials. Does that have any sort of political indications that he, let's say, skipped Warsaw on his way to Berlin, or are we reading that wrong?
Yes and no, to reply in a traditional EU way. There was a similar case in 2022 when Zelenskyy headed to Washington to meet with the U.S. president, and he met with President Duda on his way back. And this situation was, in my opinion, a bit shady from the point of view of diplomatic protocol, because this meeting hasn't been. The meeting between Polish and Ukrainian president hasn't been announced in advance. So it a bit looked like on a plane from Washington, somebody said to Zelenskyy, listen, sir, maybe that would be a good idea to meet the guy that runs the country that you are passing through. The second thing was that the meeting took place not in Warsaw, but in Rzeszów. So it's kind of, again, like showing that Polish president came to meet Zelenskyy rather than host him in Warsaw. So there is a precedent of this kind. But in this case, this meeting was agreed upon in advance. So it's a different case from the point of view of diplomatic protocol. what I do believe is Zelenskyy trying to do here is to have a feeling of what will happen after meetings with the US and the European leaders, and then try to convince the Polish president to support him with discussions, particularly with the American administration. We know that Nawrocki has been underlining his closeness to both Trump and MAGA's movement. So this probably is seen by Ukrainian diplomacy as an opportunity to gather yet another supporter for his cause, for their cause.
Mm-hmm. All right, and one cause in common, just briefly towards the end. I mean, there's a lot of potential, and already is, between the defense industry of Ukraine and also with Poland. That's going to be probably going to be talked about. What do you sense there? Where is that going? I mean, there's a lot of drone know-how that Ukraine possesses. What kind of exchange could we expect then from Poland?
Minister of Defense Kosiniak-Kamysz said recently that the delivery of MiG Poland has, I believe there are talk about 6 or 8 units that could be delivered to Ukraine in exchange for access to drone and rocket and missiles technologies. But the problem is that this delivery is halted by the presidential censor, who claims that he hasn't received enough information on that exchange. But yes, you're absolutely right. This would be a good opportunity for Polish defense industry to tap into the experience and technical abilities of the Ukrainian side.
Mm-hmm. And just one final thing in terms of wrapping all this up, where do you see us, like this relationship between Warsaw and Kyiv has changed. Where do you see this headed into the next few months after this visit and what's happening over these next couple of days?
Sadly, I don't see anything different happening. The problem is that Warsaw for many years avoided coming up with a new framework, a new idea how to cooperate with a country that for many years jumped up from a neighbor to a country that directly deals with the US, Germany and France. Polish administration still perceive Ukraine as a country that is in the development, so that is awaiting our support and approval. This has changed many years ago, and we need to finally understand that.
All right, so still many things to discuss and debate. Look, thanks for all that analysis. I was our guest here this morning, Kacper Wańczyk. Much appreciated.
Thank you so much.
And thank you for watching World Talks, but stay right here on TVP World for more news and commentary. Goodbye.